They call it the medicine of the future.
The future
Yes.
is now. So many people are aware of the power of the sound. All over the world, people love music, but not everyone knows the power, the actual power of it. And that's where your skills, Swami, are invaluable.
Welcome to the show, where we discuss time-tested and science-supported tools for better health, long life, and pleasures.
Did you know that certain sounds can heal you or make you sick, enhance pleasure, impact mood, make you feel like dancing, or make you buy things that you didn't even think of buying? It can irritate you or even kill you. We respond not only to sound that we hear, but also to its vibrations, because our receptors in our body, internal organs, and skin detect vibrations and convert them into neural signals, which our brain interprets and responds to. Stay with us to discover today more about the power of sound from an internationally acclaimed Gong Master who devoted his entire life to mastering sound therapy by studying this ancient art from the best teachers of Nepal, Tibet, India, Japan, Australia, and Indonesia. Combining all this knowledge, he developed a unique sound therapy technique that healed thousands of people around the world. Please welcome Swami Arun.
Very honored to be on this podcast with Lillian. Thank you very much, and hello to everyone.
I understand that you started your journey as a player of the sexiest instrument in the world, the saxophone.
Yeah. Yes. I was very young, and with my friend, we fell in love with jazz music. We start to see all this classical movie jazz about jazz. And we had this idea to learn the saxophone alto and play some jazz, whatever. And that was a very aspiration that basically it didn't go through because the call at that time came for photography.
Oh, right. But you know what? You still look like a saxophone player. You do look good with your looks, that mysterious artistic touch that you have play about you. But what actually triggered your interest in sound therapy?
Okay, the story was like this. I started the journey with this music attraction, love, and then the preference went on photography. So I became a professional photographer, and I was doing 20 years actually, the professional photographer in Italy, basically on movie set. I was freelance, but I was working mainly on movie set. And then one day I had this idea, this inspiration to go to Australia in Sydney and to have an experience 1 year in the fashion business. Instead to go to Milan in Italy, let me change country. I want to go and experience in Australia. And while I was living there and doing the photographer, professional photographer, one morning I woke up and while I was just thinking how to organize my day, what to do, I had this thought like a shooting star passing through my mind and saying, you are in Australia, learn the didgeridoo. And I was like completely shocked because I never had this experience before. I say somebody like I spoke in my head, but there was no word spoken. It was just like a shooting thought in a thought form, a message in a thought form, but it wasn't my mind thinking about that. So I couldn't understand what the experience was, but I felt that the message was really important. And so I decided to learn the didgeridoo because it's very difficult to learn the didgeridoo. You have to blow and breathe in the same time, blow and breath in the same time. It's basically impossible. So you need to know some kind of technique to to keep play continuously the didgeridoo and breath at the same time. So I became sound dealer because this experience, I would say, this call, there was a message from my spirit, because I learned the didgeridoo and then I received this information in Australia. That was 1999. I received an information from Aboriginal people. This is sound healing. And I never heard about that. So I asked, what is that? And I said, you can heal people with the vibration, with the sound and the frequency of this instrument. And so I start my journey by creating a massage with didgeridoo. And I noticed that it was working. I went back to Italy, where I was living at the time, after Australia, and I started to give sound massage with didgeridoo to friends. They had like pain in the knee or pain on the elbow. And I was just playing for 15 minutes. And with a staggering experience, the pain was gone. The pain was gone.
Wow.
And then the journey continued, that I went to India after Australia. I went back to Italy, and then I went to India. And this voice, while I was in India, in Tibetan people market, I saw so many bowls. And then this voice came again and say, buy Tibetan bowls, singing bowls. And so at that point, I already started to do some research in the spiritual world. And I came to understand that the voice, that this message, this through a thought form that came into my mind, it's like your, whatever you want to call it, your higher self, your soul, your spirit, your intuition, the universe, whatever, but was like another source.
Right.
Beside mine.
Well, it meant to be, and I'm glad that it happened here on Australian land.
Yes, amazing. I love Australia. I love completely Australia.
Well, you created an effective therapeutic technique that allows people to heal from many disorders. Can you describe typical sound therapy treatment session? What actually you do there?
Well, basically, I had to make it clear that when you say a session, there are two possibilities. You have the group one, and you have the individual one. So these two therapies, they're a little bit different, but like in a group, I would play the instruments and I wouldn't go I cannot go so deep like the private session, because it becomes like, for example, I put the singing bowls on the body and I vibrate, and so you can feel directly on your skin the sound frequency. So it's very, very powerful, because like you get all the attention and the energy from the therapist directly on you. When it's the group, you are in the middle of the group, so you can feel more like isolated a little bit. But over there, it's more strong. So these are the two modalities, basically, that in a group therapy, I can go closer to the instrument with some instruments that I can handle in my hands. I can go close to, like, with a small gong, with singing bowls, with the didgeridoo, playing the didgeridoo. When I do the session, it becomes, the particularity is like that I place the bowls on the body directly, on the back side, on the front side. And this one gives you this next level, because from just hearing the sound, you go to the next step, that you feel the physical vibration directly on the body. And that's even more, it's like an electricity. If you spin the singing bowls with a mallet, you put two fingers like perpendicular to the bowl and touch the bowl, you exactly feel like when you put the finger in, when you catch electricity with the finger in the plug. So you feel this, but it's much less strong. But so this is electricity. And then the next level that I reach, it's by doing the sound healing in the water, in the pool, basically. I did it also in the hot spring water, which is amazing, because with the warm temperature, it helps very much the guest to go into theta state, this meditative state. But the water amplify the sound frequency 5-time fold. And so I created this new therapy, for example, that I do individual session and the group session in the pool, and I put the balls on the body while they are in this floating mat inside the water, floating. But at the beginning, I clear all the chakras with the ball in the water, and I'm having such amazing feedback because this is all channel. You see at the beginning that I studied with many master, but there is only probably this misunderstanding in the communication, but I never studied with anybody. After I changed from photography to, actually I was doing photography and learning myself sound dealing just by experimenting. And then every other instruments that I learn to play, I always learn myself. I never learned with anybody. So this is very important because it's a received teaching from the universe.
Well, I also love learning different instruments. I share that with you. I'm trying to learn this instrument, but it doesn't have any strings on it. No, I'm only kidding. It's an ornament. Uh, what I was trying to understand is, well, the underlying philosophy is that human perception of vibration is not determined by the frequency of the vibration, but rather by the accelerations. That's where your water baths come in. I've been through on sessions of sound therapy where we had sound bath by, well, it's like shamanic sort of ritual where people produce certain sounds while patients lie down on the floor, and it's called sound bath. But what you are doing is involving real water, which actually does amplify the vibration, which should be probably more effective in that respect. Without going too deep into the science of sound, the frequencies, whatever, what musical instruments do you find to be the most effective in your sound therapy treatments?
Well, this one it's very difficult because there are some instruments that they are really powerful, and then everybody's different, so affect in a different way. But for example, in my 20 years experience of sound healing, I start by playing the singing bowls. Let's talk about these instruments like crystal bowls and gongs. These three main one. I started with the singing bowls, and then I learned the gong. I explored the gong and I learned the gong myself, and then I moved to the crystal bowls. And what I noticed is that when I do a session with the singing bowls, it was everything amazing. People going into theta state and having just a wonderful journey. With the crystal bowls, at the end of the session, when I was working in Bali, a yoga barn for 12 years, I had 4 or 5 people at the end of the session line up crying that they wanted to hug me because the crystal balls are very powerful for the emotional trauma release. Very, very powerful. These perfect pitch of the balls that can really hit the chakra in the center and all the other energy points in the body. It really targets the emotional trauma so powerful because that's the experience that I receive. It's like, wow, with the singing bowls, never happened. But every time I do a class with the crystal bowls, 4 or 5 people crying and hugging me. Thank you very much. When I start to do the gong, the funny thing was that every 2, 3 events, 1, 2 people after 10 minutes were standing up and just leaving the session. And I was at the very beginning, I was like, wow, why? What happened? And then I had this very powerful experience that I don't want to go too long to get into it. But what I came to understand from this experience, personal experience that I had, is like when we have a fresh trauma, when we have a trauma, we have a little time to process this trauma. We might need one day, we might need 1 year, we may need 3 years, a lifetime, whatever. We have some time to process this. But if you have a fresh trauma and you go through a sound session like I feel and I experience in this example that I had, and I start to play the gong, the sound frequency of the gong, they come in to clear everything. and you have a fresh trauma that you still haven't had time to process. So it makes you this effect of kind of rejection, like extremely disturbance, anxiety inside, because you need the time to process, and you didn't. And so people, they cannot handle it, they stand up and they go. So you see, every instrument has a very different effect on the people. The didgeridoo is another very powerful one. Everybody loves the sound of the didgeridoo. Sometimes some people, they feel like too intense. So I believe that it depends more on the amount of blockages and trauma that people have. But because when I play all these instruments, and especially the gong, I'm very close to the gong, so I can hear 10 times stronger than this one, than all the other participants, and all the sound go through me, and I love them, Then I also play the flute, the concert flute, just in a meditative state. I'm myself. And I can see that it touched some other people. And I also created therapy with the removes trauma and emotional trauma and blockages with a different way of playing the flute, like from very melodic harmony to very high pitch, 3 octaves higher, up and down very quick. So they target all these micro blockage that you have, because shocks you entering inside your body at, at one point that you are listening a very melodic harmony that touches your heart and helps to remove the emotional trauma. So I cannot say one in particular, because I have a very love relationship with every one of them.
Music is certainly a sphere of emotions. It touches our emotions. It works through our brain. People who can't hear can feel vibration only, and it robs them from the total experience. But those that can hear, can they possibly learn or use an instrument, musical instrument, or any kind of sub-object that can produce certain sound to heal themselves? And if it's possible, what would be the best, say, to use for relaxation at home?
Okay, so the story, from my understanding, is this one. There's a very clear cut difference, from my understanding, between musical instruments and sound healing instruments. This is, for me, is very clear, because if you go deeper into analyzing these, I can take a sound healing instrument, crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, and gong, and I can start to play. It's not like you can play very much randomly, without any guideline, completely freestyle. Okay, because that's how you play sound healing. The difference with the musical instrument, that when you have you can take a guitar, you can take a piano and start to play randomly. I don't feel it would be very much appreciated if you play guitar randomly, making some sound, just like the same style that you play sound healing instruments. And so when you have to play these instruments, you have to start to produce kind of a song, because you have to follow some kind of rhythm and sometimes some kind of melody. So the best way is to use it in this way. And then you go to another level of understanding that basically music, it's mathematic. So mathematic, it's use the involvement of the brain, of the mind. And so if you start to play a song for the first time and you never heard, after 1 minute, let's say a song of 3 minutes, after 1.5 minutes, your mind can start to predict what is going to be the next, because music and musical instruments, when they're used for music, because it's the best match, they have a mathematical pattern. And so stimulates the mind into entering into be active. But the sound healing instruments, what I understand, they don't have a musical pattern to follow because, yes, you can make music with singing bowls, but people, when they use it for sound healing, it's completely this random sound. So you can never predict what is going to come next. And that, what I feel, is the mind at one point, it cannot cope anymore with this not managing to understand what's going on, and poof, is being taken down to theta state.
Well, it's certainly a very deep subject, touches psychology and every aspect of our body, mind, and soul. Sounds, we hear sounds being still not born. They say that children, while they are still in mother's stomach, they can hear sounds, hear vibration, and react to it. People can change their mood, be inspired to go and fight an enemy with music. And of course, to live better life, you also need certain type of sounds. And if you are not well, sound therapy is definitely something that is worth trying, because if it's unknown to someone, well, you're missing out on possible cure, natural cure, that nature made it for you. Well, on this note, I would like to ask you how our listeners can find you. Of course, we'll display your website details and contact details, but I know that you travel a lot. You are invited to many health retreats around the world to actually conduct sound therapy sessions. So how people can find you and have these sessions with you over the internet?
Well, I think I feel the best and the easiest way is by follow me on Instagram, because just to explain you, I'm based in Mexico, in Tulum, in the Riviera Maya, and now in this moment I'm having this interview in Vietnam, in Hanoi, because they invited me a wellness center. And then later on, I'm going to be in May, I'm going to go to Hawaii in Big Island to another wellness center, Sanctuary Garden, that they invited me to teach training of gongs. And here I'm going to start some sacred geometry a course of 5 weeks in Illinois. And then in June, I will go to Cambodia to a beautiful resort, Anchor Grace, near Siem Reap. So I keep moving because I've been living in Asia 16 years. I'm living in Mexico at the moment. And this wellness center, they know me because I've been 20 years around the world teaching, sharing. And my sound session, they're very powerful. So for anyone that want to, maybe is close to me because I keep moving, the only way is to check on Instagram. And then it would be beautiful, this idea that we were planning about coming to Sydney for this event. Sound, piano, and gong, like voice, piano, and gong. I mean, it would be just amazing.
Ah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you whet my appetite. If I could, I would fly now to Vietnam from Australia, where I am now, and listen to one of your sessions and enjoy it and relax. It's so powerful. And of course, I'll be very happy to talk to some people around Australia who I know might appreciate inviting you and actually providing that kind of beautiful treatment to Australians, local people here.
Actually, when I was living in Bali, I met this beautiful Australian man, Peter, and he opened pyramids of chi in Bali. He made the 2 pyramids with a sound center inside. And the guy liked very much my gong. He asked me to go and play. What I want to explain is like that I played the gong in a very unique style, and it's called Swami Cosmic Gong. And because in the majority of the people that play gongs around the world, they mainly play with mallets. A little bit of the session with these gong rubbers that they create this cosmic sound. But my style is like 3/4 of the time you have like some very spacey cosmic sound, and then you also have the technique with the mallet also combined. But my specialty is this cosmic gong that I play, that I receive many information from participants that they say they never heard a style like this either in New York or in London. So if you find me, you can experience something very unique and very powerful, because I have so many feedback on my Instagram testimonial. It would be very amazing.
We are unfortunately running out of time a little bit, but it would
No
be
problem.
amazing, simply amazing to hear at the end the sound of your cosmic gong. Is it
Yes.
far away? Would you be able to produce it now for us, or it's too far away?
No, I don't have it here because I'm in my apartment studio house. All the instruments, they are in the wellness center that invite me.
But I'll tell you what I'll do. If you'll send us a little audio of it, we'll include it in this.
Well, sound healing, you can use many instruments. By chance, I ended up to use the Tibetan bowls. And the sound and the vibration that these bowls create, it is scientifically proved and researched that they have the power to switch your brain electricity of the awakening state around 40 Hertz down to theta state, which is like 7 Hertz. So it's like a switch. This vibration, this sound that the Tibetan bowls produce, it's like a switch off on your brain, and then suddenly you go into this very low frequency vibration, which is the theta state, and you can have like intuition, you can have like spontaneous healing, because in this deep relaxation, that's what happens.
The only difference is if you have like looking at a concert live and a concert on YouTube is the only difference. When you receive this sound in the real time, so it's much more powerful. I would have tell you so many other things. I'm so excited. This is so short, but I have million of stories. But it was so beautiful to share this knowledge of they call it the future, the medicine of the future.
Oh, the future is now. The future is now. So many people are aware of the power of the sound. People had been aware of the power of the sound since times of when they played stone instruments, timber, wooden instruments made out of straws, little flutes, and played on splashing water, listen to birds, and so on. Music is represented in every single religion. Every single ritual is with either drums or flutes or any other musical instruments. It's everywhere, all over the world. People love music, but not everyone knows the power, the actual power of it. And that's where your skills, Swami, are invaluable. And I hope that I will be able to facilitate you.
Please.
Australia.
Because I tell you, I have so many stories that at the moment I don't even question myself anymore. It's because curing sciatica after 7 days that you cannot move. And I didn't even know this person. It was in a group session. And then at the end of the session, the sciatica just was gone. The pain was gone. And then at one point, you realize that it's just the trust and these sound frequency, they really work.
That's amazing. Sciatic nerve can be treated with a vibration.
The point is like this, like anything can be treated, because I also did 2 months 3 sound sessions a week for 2 months to somebody that had cancer in the stomach area. And he went back to the hospital after 6 months that he was in Bali. I mean, he was doing also some other therapies, but this one was very powerful. 3 times a week for 2 months. He went back and he said that the cancer shrunk from like a lemon size to a peanut size. And so the very much important ingredient, the most fundamental ingredient for curing anything is the will of the person to feel, to believe, and to see that is going to overcome whatever is facing. So that's the most powerful ingredient. And then if you expose to others that they are doing this work in a very powerful way, well, there is no chance that you're not going to make it.
Well, on this note, I'll have to end our beautiful conversation and thank you for demonstrating your power. It's just a little taste of it. It gave me all the confidence that I would like to actually be involved in your session. And I also would like to thank you for devoting your life to this subject, because
Thank you. Thank you. That's very lovely.
it is an art. It is combination of your personal feelings, knowledge, and practice. Not everyone has that. So you're obviously a very talented person. Thank you again for being here. And
thank you, Lilian. And again, Swami Arun is my Instagram account where you can find me and follow me.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Lilian.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you won't miss any of the new episodes. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions, please put them below the video. I do read them. If you are looking for a good, reliable source of specific ingredients, experts, services, or products, click on the resources link under this video. To health, long life, and pleasures.